We have with us our guest, Mrs. Blessing Irabor-Oza, President Organization of Women in International Trade, OWIT Nigeria, and Chairperson, OWIT Africa Liaison. Hello, Mrs. Blessing, and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me on this show, and a very good afternoon to you all.
Good afternoon. All right, thank you very much. We're basically just we're talking about the educational system. So much going on right now, but tell us about your organization for Women in Trade.
Yeah, Organization of Women in International Trade is an international organization that started in Washington, D.C., United States of America in 1989. It's a global association for women in international trade and businesses. We are over 2,000 plus members, impacting hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of trade and business transaction annually. Our aim is to focus on adding value to corporate, medium-sized and small businesses and individuals for members around the world to be able to promote trade, especially for women.
Thank you very much for that. And the African Women Trade Conference is coming up, 27th of September to 30th of same month, same September in Abuja. So tell us about previous conferences and how this conference has impacted female entrepreneurs and traders.
Yeah, the African Women Trade Conference is an initiative of all the OWIT African chapters. We came together to look at why women has not been able to trade among themselves conveniently, and we noticed a whole lot of challenge. So we decided to come up with the African Women Trade that we address some of this issue. Like last year, we held the first edition in Nairobi with a team empowering women in intra-trade. It was held in Nairobi. We had over 326 persons in all and over 400 persons online, even with the COVID restriction. But this year's conference is taking place in Abuja because we are moving it from country to country.
Okay.
This year's own is taking place in Abuja, and it's with a team positioning African women for the next big opportunity in the regional and global marketplace. Why did I say, why are we taking this team? Last year we had looked at the problems that has hindered women from trading amongst themselves. This year, we are not going to be looking at those problems. We'll be looking at solutions that will help women to trade amongst themselves. That is why we are looking at this thing of positioning the African women for the next big opportunity in the regional and global marketplace.
That's a very interesting standpoint and very interesting initiative as well. It's very important that African women receive this type of knowledge so as to strategically place themselves and do better in the business environment. So who is the target audience and how would this impact them?
Okay, from the outcome from last year's conference, let me take from last year.
Okay.
When we talked about the access to financing, UNECA was one of our sponsors. And this year, if you go to UNECA, you will see that they are doing everything possible to see that women is able to have an accessible financing for trade. And this year's conference, that's what we're looking at. What will be the accessible financing for women in trade? We're not talking about the lack of finance. Yes, we already know that there is a lack of finance. But for us to have a solution, we must look at the type of accessible financing that will be better for women in trade and business. Also, you know that the world have moved with the COVID-19, that we have moved into the digital space. We want to see how women could use the digital device to help themselves to be able to trade amongst themselves better. Even with the little knowledge they have, we are working on seeing how to work with different partners to develop simple digital marketplace that women can easily trade with little or no education. Those are some of the things we'll be looking at in this conference. We're looking at the policy reforms that some of this policy, you and I know that it has not favored the women. So we'll be looking at some of this policy and providing a roadmap for some of this policy that the government will be working on. That will be the outcome. It will be a call for action for people that are coming in for this conference to take back to their home countries, and will be submitting to the AU, to the ECOWAS, and the other regional blocs for implementation at the end of the conference.
Thank you so much. And what are some benefits? Just give me about 2 benefits that women who are going to be part of this conference stand to gain, particularly as it relates to trade organizations for women.
Okay, so the purpose and benefit of the African women in trade is to increase intra-trade amongst African women. Is to us to lobby and advocate for policy.
Hello, are you there? To lobby and advocate for policy reforms. I believe that's what she wanted to say. And to a large extent, she has talked about that. And of course, she's basically saying this is extremely important, particularly because it would boost intra-trading between African women. Of course, in a huge continent like Africa, lots of countries, different resources in all these different countries. And women from all these different countries will be able to come together to trade between themselves and do better when it comes to income and when it comes to just creating these benefits for women across board. Thank you very much again to Blessing Irabor-Oza, President, Organization of Women in International Trade, O8 Nigeria, and Chairperson, O8 Africa Liaison. This has been an interesting time today on The Big Question. Remember to continue to talk about the subject of the educational allocation and make sure that you create awareness wherever you are in a bid to change the situation of things and do better in Nigeria going forward. Remember that whatever the case, if you haven't collected your PVC, please go ahead and do that so as to exercise your right to vote in the coming election. Thank you again. My name is Sumto Titilayo Ajamma. Good afternoon.
WFM 91.7.